TopMedTalk.
This is TopMedTalk, the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine. The EBPOM World Congress is taking place this year between the 7th and the 9th of July at the British Library in London. Check out ebpom.org now.
Hello, welcome to TopMedTalk. I'm Andy Cumpstey and I'm here in London at the Association of Anaesthetists of Great Britain and Ireland, and it's a real pleasure to welcome back Desiree Chappell.
Oh my gosh, it is a real pleasure to be here. I was just saying I feel a little bit rusty sitting in the seat.
Never, Desiree. Absolutely not.
No, I'm so excited to be here as former co-editor-in-chief and managing editor of TopMedTalk. I'm back in London, which is super awesome. I haven't been here for a while. It's been a minute. But yes, I am traveling through to Marrakesh for the World Congress of Anesthesiologists. So going to be there for the next week. It is a very quick trip, but I tell you, just landing here and driving around the city was pretty awesome.
We've got a whole load of TopMed Talks planned from the World Congress in Marrakesh as well.
Oh, I haven't heard about all of them. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. But before we do that, let's introduce everybody else. So we've got Professor Mike Grocott with us.
Andy, good morning.
Editor-in-Chief of TopMed Talk as well. Great to be here in London. And we've got Associate Professor James Bowness.
James Bowness, I'm consultant anaesthetist at UCLH, Associate Professor of Anaesthesia at UCL, and also work for other guises for GE Healthcare. My work focuses around AI in perioperative medicine and anaesthesia.
So it's great to get everybody back here. The reason for getting all of us back here on the pod today is the exciting launch of a new TopMed Talk, a new TopMed Talk AI series, which is going to be great.
And we've called it TopMed Talk AI.
Just to be original.
How did that name come about?
Isn't that good?
It's on the can. That's awesome. I am so excited about this.
So go on, Mike, you take us off. So TopMed Talk AI, the idea, what it's going to be.
Well, it says everybody's talking about AI in life in general, professionally, and there are clearly massive opportunities in healthcare, particularly, I think, in our clinical space. And I guess we'll the conversation a bit later when we come around to the event that we're at today will highlight this. But we, absolutely loads of data, lots of uncertainty, and the potential to apply all sorts of different types of AI in different contexts. And we're all talking about it. So TopMed Talk should be part of that conversation. We should be leading that conversation. So we are.
So
Absolutely.
To be fair, Mike, we've done a ton of work in AI. It's just not formally branded as TMT AI.
We're going to retrospectively.
I was just going to say we should do.
It now is, yeah.
It is, and I love that. I mean, I think formalizing is the right thing to do.
I mean, it's been a real theme through a lot of TopMed Talk over the last few years.
But I think you captured there, Desiree, is that like everyone's talking about it, like Mike, as you said, but it's this unstructured kind of organic evolution, and there's no formal structure for the evolution of it especially in our professional area, and no kind of formally recognized forum of exchange for all of these ideas and medium that we all communicate. So TopMed Talk AI is a perfect way to disseminate that message, right? And kind of draw people in to say they want to get information, high quality information on this subject, or this is a means to do it.
Yeah.
And this is it's a technology that is clearly being applied everywhere. There is a huge amount of expertise out with our immediate professional environment. So I think TopMed Talk's done a great job over the years in focusing on different aspects of AI, but there are a lot of folk we can interview who are not directly involved in healthcare, who can give us some really cool lessons and insights that I think will inform what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair to say without giving too much away, James. We've got lots of exciting plans for this over the coming months, but we've got policymakers lined up, company representatives from industry, patient representatives. It's going to be a really exciting series, I think. And it, again, getting into the mechanics of what it will look like to you listening at home follows on from our new perioperative profile series, from the breaking trials, this new series of events that we're starting to do with TopMed Talk, as well as all the things we've always done from the meetings and the conferences, where every month there will be a new dedicated episode on something AI related, whether that's be with industry representatives, with policymakers, or with clinicians, that's going to form this new TopMed Talk AI series.
And I think you captured it really well there, Andy, is that it's a really diverse stakeholder group. It's a team game in AI in healthcare, and I think we need to capture the input from all of those people. And even sitting around this table, we all wear multiple hats. We've got industry representation, you and I, we've got university, clinical, academic representation, and I think we need all those kind of people to come together to sort of share the common messages and identify their synergies.
Which brings us seamlessly to what we're all doing here today.
That's right.
So today we're at 21 Portland Place, London, the Association of Anaesthetists. This is the third and final stage of a UK and Ireland demand signalling exercise for AI in anaesthesia, perioperative medicine and pain management.
Demand signalling.
Yeah.
Expand on that a little.
Well, in my experience, and I think this is not just me, that there's a traditional narrative where we've kind of got AI in healthcare and we've got this technology and we're kind of looking for somewhere to apply it. And then if you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? Whereas I think one of the really important things is that, like we said, there's multiple stakeholders, and some of the stakeholders who have less often be able to input in that in the past is those end users, the clinicians implementing that. And so what we want to try and do in this activity is say to those people, those end users, forget about the technology for a minute. What are your pain points? What are your issues? What are the problems, the challenges you're facing? And then let's bring that back. We'll kind of try and identify that, hone it, amplify it, and bring that back as a signal to say there are problems in this area and we need to address them. Maybe AI could address some of them. Maybe it's suitable for some, and all equally important, which ones is it less relevant for?
And we've got a real mix of people here today taking part in this.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Royal College of Anaesthetists and the Association of Anaesthetists, we've surveyed their membership to say to them, what are those pain points in your clinical practice? We've then curated that list through a sort of Delphi kind of prioritization activity with membership representation. And then today we're here discussing some of those high priority issues, not all of them, clearly, because there are many issues. But hey, today we're here discussing some of them with representatives from clinical practice, from technology, computer science, engineering, academia, healthcare provider organizations, the people who are going to represent the managers and the purchasers, policymakers, regulators, industry participants as well, and patients, of course. So we've got a real kind of broad church.
And again, Desiree, Mike and I have come, I guess, as participants observing this. You put a lot of the hard work in organising it from the ground up. But I have to say, I was really impressed with the first session this morning. Really exciting discussion, really interesting engagement from all those different roles. And I'm quite excited to hear what happens in the second and third session this afternoon and what comes from this. But
unfortunately, I was flying in this morning for the first session, but I was able to duck into some of the discussion after that. I think one thing that's interesting, and I think anybody who's been in this conversation, you can go anywhere in the world and hear a lot of the same thing. I mean, thematically, we're all saying the same things, which is great. But now, like, we really need to start figuring out how do we embrace it or not, and what do we do with it?
I mean, a lot of the insights are out there.
Yeah,
it's on the mass media, but it's the creative synthesis from
Yes.
bringing together multiple stakeholders, just different lens on some of those problems and opportunities that I think is really valuable today.
Yeah, that was kind of the ethos behind this, was bringing everyone together, because there's countless examples of clinical academics publishing a paper and some industry participants kind of don't read that academic publication. They read the clinical journals. And then industry entities producing devices, writing a white paper, and the clinicians don't read that white paper. And you think we're kind of all really kind of like ships passing in the night. And actually we need to bring people together to have that kind of form of exchange. And so we can kind of synthesize together these ideas and the kind of potential solutions to them.
So, James, do you want to talk some of our listeners maybe through the mechanics of how today's run? Because I think this is the exact sort of event that could be I know you've got plans to replicate it here in other specialties, but could also be replicated around the world in other nations. But I've not been to an event with this format before, with the clear structure of the sessions and the clear structure of the people in each group.
Yeah, so we've got, in each group, there are kind of one representative for each of those stakeholder groups. There's six people. And then we've got a facilitator in each group who's kind of got some prior training in this process to work through a sort of structured narrative around each theme. So there are multiple workshop sessions with each kind of that kind of multidisciplinary stakeholder group discussing an issue in that workshop. And the issues have been taken from that kind of prioritization exercise. So some of the high priority issues and subject areas. And then we take that and we've created...
Can you give us some examples of those issues as well, just for people?
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, we can kind of... What was really interesting was how you could thematically group them into three areas, some which slightly surprised me, actually. There was the kind of slightly obvious ones of perioperative planning, of how we kind of predict risk, screen patients, prioritize them for surgery and so on. So that perioperative planning was probably expected to come out. Another area is anesthesia delivery, whether that's kind of, closed loop systems between monitors and kind of delivery systems, between procedural tools, those kind of things. And again, that was kind of slightly kind of unexpected that came out. And there are many kind of individual examples within that, whether that's infusion systems, whether that's ultrasound guidance, whatever kind of procedural elements there is. One of the things that really kind of ranked very highly and surprised me somewhat, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, was that documentation and communication element. Mm-hmm. Many of the high priority areas focused on, communication, digital communication medium between kind of anesthesia and the patients, or summarizing clinical data and notes and those kind of things. And that kind of area surprised me slightly, took me back, but kind of we've got 9 themes today, and 3 of those 9 circulate around those areas.
I love that. Speaking of pain points, right? I mean, that's why that's bubbled up the way it has, and part of what you're wanting to gain from this is
exactly because it would be really easy to sit from the other side and think, well, I kind of make a monitor make a kind of delivery system. Let's kind of use AI to enhance that, and 6 of the top 7 maybe didn't kind of relate to that, and they actually related to documentation, communication, and how we kind of stratify and rank patients, and that's the whole kind of purpose of why we're doing it this way.
Like the tasks as a junior, as a resident clinician coming through, like trying to go through the notes to get the essence of a patient with a big fat set of notes and a complex patient is one of the hardest tasks, and some of that's the mental processing, but a lot of it is just understanding where all the right bits of paper are and how to find the information. So I think it's an amazing application.
Well, and I mean, and not to go down this rabbit hole, but I mean, it just really makes me think we have all of it now. It's all in EMRs, and it's just sitting there. And it's just very
sometimes
difficult.
Sometimes inaccessible unless you know how to
play it. Absolutely.
Well, it's such an awesome resource.
Click.
It's a great resource, but you have to you can't, it's sometimes harder than just like leafing through a set of paper notes. And then not only that, like, in my center, we often talk about how can we kind of improve efficiency, productivity, and a lot of the things that the kind of, the administrative kind of team focus on. They say, well, we've got such a huge backlog in kind of preoperative assessment planning. How do we wade through that? Because every patient who goes through an operation in the OR in our center, they've gone to the preoperative assessment service at least once for some form of review, and that's kind of replicated throughout the country. So it's a really high burden.
Yeah.
And so each of these groups discussing these really important topics, you mentioned 6 stakeholder groups, I'm not going through all 6, but so there's clinician input, there's industry input, there's policymaker input, there's patient input, and more. And I mean, I was observing this, I wasn't inputting, but as one of the observers, hearing the discussion was really fascinating. And it was great. It wasn't just one person talking, everyone was inputting. Where do you think this leads to next? What's the next stage after this?
There are, I mean, it's kind of a road untrodden so far. So we're kind of, you'll see it as I'm trying to figure it out.
Learning by doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I say building a boat in the ocean. In the middle of the
plane
ocean.
while you're trying to fly it.
Exactly.
So I think there are multiple sort of avenues. One of the areas I'd really like this to extend into is to informing policy. How we kind of shape healthcare planning, expenditure, capital allocation, those kind of things in future, which at the minute kind of feels in the AI space kind of fairly reactive and unstructured because we don't know what's coming. Whereas if we can kind of build a roadmap, we can kind of anticipate what's coming. So one of the routes is for that kind of thing. Another thing is for funders as well. I'd really like to, in time, for this to serve as a platform so we can engage with funders to say really high priority areas are around here, and some of your funding calls kind of overlap with that. How can we kind of make sure they address some of the key areas? And then it can inform the kind of academics working on these kind of endeavors, and then industry partners as well who are thinking, we're in this space, we make monitors, infusion systems, ultrasound machines, whatever it is. We hear that this is the important priorities for you. We hear that. Let's kind of, maybe we can use that as a medium of engagement to say, well, let's kind of look at that together.
And it's great that you've I guess started paving this path in anaesthesia and preoperative care, but it would be remiss for us not to highlight your future plans in other specialties in the UK.
The cousins of anaesthesia, critical care medicine and emergency medicine, we're kind of planning to roll out the process to there as well. In fact, we've already started that with emergency medicine. We'll be starting that in April 2026, so just a few weeks' time this month. We're going to start the same process for emergency medicine in partnership with the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, and we're exploring that same approach for intensive care medicine in the UK. So hopefully by the end of 2026, we've sort of done the initial process around the high acuity specialties.
And do you have a feel for how much what that Venn diagram will look like? How much the needs of anaesthesia, emergency medicine, critical care will overlap?
I don't yet, other than my gut instinct, and probably what is relatively similar to your gut instinct, I imagine. We haven't started the process. We're starting the survey, the first stage of the process for emergency medicine in 2 weeks' time. And I guess once we've got that and started the filtering process, then we'll sort of start to get a feel for it. But like we can all imagine, right, there's going to be a significant overlap. Although with emergency medicine, you might find there are some differences around, accessing other parts of the hospital, imaging, those kind of processes. And if we know anything about emergency medicine, which I think we do, I think something around efficiency and decision-making and speed might feature highly for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic to get this process up and running, both for the AA Demand Signalling Day, but also for TopMedTalk AI.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming back to join us and share the launch. As always, you can find this episode and all our other episodes here on topmedtalk.com or on your podcaster of choice. We're also on all the main social media channels, whether that's YouTube or LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're on them all. If you find us on there, please do hit like, hit subscribe. It really makes a difference to us at this end. Thank you to all our fantastic sponsors for keeping TopMedTalk free and open access around the world. That's BD and GE Healthcare. And of course, thank you to the fantastic Association of Anaesthetists of Great Britain and Ireland, both for hosting TopMedTalk here today and also hosting this fantastic AI Demand Signalling Day.
TopMedTalk.
TopMedTalk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, evidence-based perioperative medicine. Join clinicians from around the world at EBPOM World Congress 2026 between the 7th and the 9th of July at the British Library in London. 3 days of evidence-based perioperative medicine, global insights and expert debate, featuring speakers including Michael Marmot and Ken Rockwood. Go now to ebpom.org. That's ebpom.org.